This lesson is going to be a quick introduction into adding some usable functionality into your web page. And there's three cornerstones of any website. So that's going to be HTML, which we've already covered, CSS, which is the styling. So this is the presentation part of your HTML. HTML is the structure of the web page. CSS is the presentation, and interaction is provided via JavaScript. And when it comes to JavaScript, there's quite a few really nice libraries in JavaScript, and essentially they make that JavaScript more functional and easy to use. So with JavaScript, JavaScript is really unique in the way that it handles your HTML content, and it works alongside your browser. So whenever any web page loads, so I'm going to just open up this web page here, I'm going to quickly open up my inspect. So this is available within any Chrome browser, and you can always go over to inspect. So you can go into your tools, you can see developer tools. I'm on a Windows machine, so I can press Control-Shift-I, and it gives me some information about what's happening within my website. So when you go over to elements, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So we see that we've got all of our styling here. So I can click on any part of the web page and I can see the box model here, so I know how wide it is, padding, border, margin, and I can see a lot of information from my website. I can see the source code here, I can click on things, and I can see presented with the styling. So this is a really useful tool, and especially when it comes to JavaScript, and I'm going to try to explain this and run through this fairly quickly if you're not familiar with JavaScript. So this is going to be a really quick introduction to what JavaScript is and how it works within your website. So the reason that I opened up the dev tools, not only to show you the styling, is to show you what else is available here. So we've got our computed values here for every element within the web page. And we see here that this is actually built up within the browser. So the browser, whenever it comes to a web page, it loads all of that HTML content that's available within the file, CSS and JavaScript, and it builds out from the HTML source code, it builds out what's called the document object model. So this is the document that's being presented. And with JavaScript, we have the ability to create event listeners and actually interact with this document object model. So when I go into any one of my elements here, so I've got my article, and I can see I've got a whole ton of properties and values. So I've got like inner HTML, inner text, and so on. And JavaScript actually gives us the ability to access all of this content and information from that HTML element. And going down, we see these on abort, autocomplete, on blur, cancel. So these are events within your web page. And this is where the user would come in, interact with your content, and trigger off certain events within your content. And JavaScript, again, gives us this functionality where we can listen for events and we can perform certain actions. So if someone comes and clicks on something, which this is the one that we're going to be using, we're going to attach a click event to that menu trigger. So this is the one that we're going to be using. But essentially what this is going to do, this is already built in to the browser. It already understands, it already creates all of this for each and every element, and it's all ready to go. So JavaScript, all it does is just patch into this, access it, and provide that coding interaction that you're looking for when you're developing dynamic content on your website. So in a nutshell, and I think that's probably one of the quickest explanations of JavaScript, and of course you're welcome to look into additional information on JavaScript, but it's not going to be essential for this course. And to get going with the website that we're producing, but we are going to need to use some kind of dynamic functionality within this website in order to trigger off that menu. And what we're going to be using is, so JavaScript has a bunch of libraries, and these libraries allow us to interact with the DOM, especially when it comes to jQuery, a lot easier. So with less code, and it just really makes a lot more sense. So let's open up one of these libraries, and one of the most popular ones is jQuery. And whenever we go to developers.google.com, this gives us access to the CDNs of a bunch of really cool libraries. and we're just go down here and we see that we've got our jQuery library here, and we're going to use the 1x version. So this is the most compatible version across browsers. Some of the older browsers might not be ready for the newer versions of jQuery, so this is something to be mindful of. And we're not really looking for a lot of heavy-duty capabilities within jQuery, so we just want some straightforward out-of-the-box event triggers, and this is going to be perfect for what we want to accomplish within our web project. So going back into our editor, I'm going to just add that library. And JavaScript, just like with CSS, we have the ability to add in libraries and link to source libraries. So much like what we did over here with Font Awesome, we're linking to our CSS library, we're linking to a JavaScript library. And linking to the library now gives us access to that JavaScript capability. And because we're linking to that library, which is the jQuery library, now we've got jQuery available. And any web browser automatically has JavaScript. JavaScript is a language that doesn't require any compiling. All you have to do is place it within script tags and you're ready to go with JavaScript. So now that we've shown you how to set up JavaScript, and one other note on JavaScript, you might see it within inline. So just like the styles with attributes within an element, you can also add JavaScript onto any element within your web page. And we saw that as it's built out by the DOM, that we have that connectivity between the code and the HTML elements. So in the next lesson, we're going to write some jQuery code in order to create that interaction that we're looking for our website.